Illuvium needs to delay its game. Now, I'm saying this in all seriousness. It's a little bit clickbaity, but I'm saying it mostly in all seriousness. The world isn't ready for what's coming. Just every Illuvium showcase makes me more bullish, and that's partly where this is coming from. But I want to discuss some real points about how delaying Illuvium could actually affect the game, its launch, its income, revenue, whatever you want to say. It will affect those things, and I want to briefly talk to you about it because I think it's really relevant and really important as you go into the future. So, firstly, anything I say here is personal opinion. I'm not backing this up heavily with facts, but there is a lot. I've had a lot of experience with games. You guys have all seen Cyberpunk and things like that. A lot of this stuff we already know, but it's some things that can really be ignored when you get super hyped for a game. And I want to talk in all seriousness about it. But the first thing I want to do is talk about some of these leaks because that is why we're here. Firstly, he discussed the regions dwarfing things like other games. He didn't say those words, but the way he describes it is very clear that some of these regions could even be larger than things like World of Warcraft. Not each individual region, but some of the biomes in World of Warcraft. And I think that's a really big step in gaming that some people haven't quite done before. I think Grand Theft Auto did a really good job and Red Dead Redemption, but no one really knows about Illuvium. People knew about those games before they came out. And I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to look at moving forward. We're going to jump in one of those leaks as well. But let's just jump into these leaks really quickly. So firstly, you find different alluvials. Some aren't shown to you and things like that, to getting a lot of that dopamine hit from opening a pack of cards, which is really valuable, really important. And I'm glad they put this into the game there. You can see this leak here. We can see your team on the left and everything. It just looks so polished. The arena, everything. That water texture isn't even the proper one that's going to be in there. It's just too amazing. This one here, you can see Mozart capturing, I think he caught a Fury. Capturing a Fury and all the effects and everything. We saw the effects on the monolith. It just looks amazing, and it's just something the world just isn't ready for yet. We haven't had a game like this. And I'll get to one of the key points in a second. This one here, you can see all the different stats. There's so much variation. You can see it even more on this TNT. It's like 12, I think, different variables for each alluvial, which is ridiculous. I don't know if this is super factual or the numbers there are probably mostly placeholders, but 12 variables for each alluvial means that you get a lot less of that market saturation as they all hit the market, because they're all going to be so different in the way they play and the way they act. And then you have fusing and all those mechanics. There is so much depth and progression to this. The way Grant described all the crafting and everything, it's a proper game. I'm not talking about the blockchain here. I couldn't care less about the blockchain here. This is a proper game, and one that is unmatched in the world right now, okay? From what I can tell, I'm very, very excited for it. So here is the big one I want to talk about. Here's this leak here. So if you go across and you look at this leak, you can see moving the plant and moving everything around it, as well as you have the character that when they walk through, they don't clip things. I think that'll show in just a second. If we skip forward a bit, you can see that the character doesn't clip through things. Well, mostly doesn't clip through things, but Grant said that it's not AAA without these features, and I want to talk about something just next to that. No AAA game has these features. It's very, very rare. So we've gone up and above and way beyond AAA, and I think it will have a huge impact in making this a good game rather than all the Web3 stuff. Who cares about it? So let's quickly talk about the reasons we might want to delay the game. So firstly, I do think Illuvium could be revolutionary. Forget the Web3 stuff. A lot of alluvials to capture. I think they've got almost 200 now, which is a really good starting base. I would have been very disappointed if it was under 100, like some of the new Pokemon generations, but they're up to 1,000 now. That's neither here nor there. Currently, there's no hype train for Illuvium, which could be a considerable problem because no one's going to just jump on the bandwagon when the game comes out. Obviously, they've got a big marketing budget still to spend, and I don't know how that's going to impact all of this. But currently, there's no hype train, and you'll notice with recent launches, things like Elden Ring, Cyberpunk and things like that, people were anticipating the game long before they came out. Obviously, the IP helps a lot with that. But even some newer games that came out, things like Anthem, didn't really have an IP to come from. Someone's probably going to correct me in the comments, but that's my understanding. Please like and subscribe. Anyways, Anthem didn't really have an IP before it launched, and it had huge hype, and the game flopped. It was terrible, all right? So that's a big problem and a reason that delaying could be impactful for the next reason, is waiting for a bull run. Now, I don't necessarily want to wait for a bull run. I'm very hyped and very excited, as many of you already know. but it's definitely something we need to consider as beneficial for the game. Now, what could go against that is probably the bull run is going to determine your first impression far more. Your first impression is very, very important, especially for a game like this, and I truly believe that. That being said, your first impression is going to be more impactful in a bull run and less impactful outside of a bull run. But if you do have bugs or serious glaring problems and things that do arise early on in the game's release, then maybe doing it outside of a bull run could be really, really effective. It could really help you iron out those things as long as you have something to add when the bull run hits. You need to have something there that will help you do almost a second launch. Cyberpunk did it with their anime series that came out. Another good example is No Man's Sky when they introduced proper multiplayer. That was like a second soft launch as well. So as long as we have something secondary there, we definitely don't need to delay Illuvium. But if we do not have that, for example, the third and fourth and fifth regions do not come out in that good timing, and we don't know when the bull run's going to be or anything like that either. So it's very hard to predict a lot of these areas. But if we do not have something ready, then it will be impactful, not delaying the game. The other thing is that we definitely need to consider is if we delay it too long, then the token price could continue to drop. And I'm loving it. I'm accumulating lots. Let's not talk about that. But if the token price does drop, that does affect the treasury and the amount of runway that Illuvium has. Now, a capital raise could offset this quite considerably, and then it would matter far less. But if we don't get some of that, if we don't get revenue streams coming in when we need them, that could impact the game's ability to be built, which is obviously a negative in the long run and something we definitely want to avoid. So those are my thoughts there. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my thoughts. If you think I'm right or wrong, or if you have something to add to the conversation, I would love to read everything you guys say. Also, don't forget, it will be pinned comment and linked in the description down below to register for the Illuvium beta if you haven't already. If what I've shown you, what I've said hasn't inspired you to go and register for the beta, and the Overworld beta is going to be dropping this month, I think. Obviously, personal opinion. If this hasn't inspired you to register for it, I don't know what I'm doing here. Go watch some other videos. I have lots on my channel. Have a good day, guys.